David Baye here for MuscularDevelopment.com. We're at the 2014 Arnold Sports Festival. I'm here with IFBB Pro and 212 weight division competitor Aaron Clark. Aaron, this is only going to be your second show. You're stepping into some, jumping in, I should say, deep water with some big names. You got fourth in New York last year. You went up against guys like Flex Lewis and David Henry. Talk to us about your prep for your first Arnold and how you feel coming into the show.
I mean, it's a big leap. I mean, every show you do is a big leap, and every show that I've done builds upon the last one that I've done. So, you start out with a regional, and then you do USAs, and that's where I got my pro card in 2012. And then I step up, do New York, and that's where I competed against Jose. And, I guess the top three there was Jose, Sami Al-Haddad, and Mark Dugdale. They all placed ahead of me there.
Very tough. Very tough.
So it was a tough group, and it was a good group to kind of see where I fell in the pro ranks. And it was a good first show for me, a learning experience. And when people told me, hey, they're going to do this 212 division in the Arnold, that got me really excited, because to me that's that next step after the New York.
Sure.
And so, I mean, bodybuilding to me is all about progression. It's all about building upon what you brought to the previous show, your previous competition, even if you're not stepping on stage, your previous physique, whatever that is to you. So to me, this is that next step. And so objectively, after I did New York, you look at your physique and you look at the guys who placed ahead of you, and yeah, they got more years under their belt. They got a more established name, but my goals for this year were to come in. I was a little under 205 in New York, so to come in near 212, as close to 212 as I can. And I weighed in about 211 today, so I did that. I feel like I've been able to match my condition that I brought to New York, and I also was able to bring up my legs. So those are my three things that were really on my agenda this year. I feel like I've done all those three things, so now I guess all there is to do is to see where that lands me tomorrow, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I was going to bring up your weight. I've been following you on online on Facebook and Instagram and stuff, and I've noticed even like a week out, I think it was like 214, 215, and it was cutting it down to the wire. I've read online, and obviously that's not the best place to get information, but that when you won your pro card at the USAs, you were somewhere around like 203, 205. Is that accurate? Do you remember where you were at when you won your pro card?
Yeah, the first two shows I did, I competed as a heavyweight in both of those. So I did the Maryland and also the USAs, and I was the same weight at both of those shows, actually. I was 203 at both of those shows.
Okay, so it was accurate.
Yeah, very small for a heavyweight. And I am
five. It looks small.
I mean, bodybuilding
that's the trick.
Bodybuilding is not about numbers, but in theory, a small guy in the class. So I've always been at the bottom of a class. I've never been the heaviest guy in a class. So this now is the first time that I've barely made weight.
Right.
So that feels good.
Where were you at in New York? Do you remember?
204, 205.
Okay, so
I think it was like 204.5.
Pretty significant gain in the last year.
Yeah, because those three shows that I've done before, there's a very visual improvement to my physique, but my body weight stayed relatively the same through all those shows. So this year is the first year that I can honestly say that I've also improved my physique and my size too. And I think that comes down to not only the training and the progression throughout your off season and as you get into prep mode, but like you said, I've been watching the weight, 215, are you going to make the weight? And I think that a lot of times for me, you can start to overthink things at the end of your prep, and you might come down too much, you might cut your carbs too early, do too much cardio. And so, at the end of the day, this year I feel like I kind of tied up some loose ends, and I was working with Fakri a little more. I've had some more support. I feel very fortunate. I got Gear Nutra here behind me, and I got on Team MD. So, this is my opportunity to really push it and to really show everybody that I belong here, and that I can be one of the best in the world here.
Now, you've brought really good conditioning to your last couple shows. One of the questions I feel like I almost ask by default when I do interviews with people is, have you made any changes? Obviously, you've put on some muscle. Aside from that, with your prep, having been razor sharp at the USAs and at New York, have you really done anything different? Is there anything you went back and looked at and said, maybe I should change that for my next show, or was it kind of sticking to the game plan that brought you in the shape that you got for your last couple contests?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think that every time you do a show, like I said, you grow. You grow not only physically but mentally, and you learn what works and you learn what doesn't. And every time I do a show, there's a lot of things I think I'm glad I did that, and there's a lot of things that I look back and be like, you know, I wouldn't do that next time, or maybe I would have done less cardio, maybe I would have done more cardio, maybe I would have done this, you know. And so, like, one thing this year is last year I decided I wanted to bring my legs up, and I used to have a lot of back pain and hip issues and stuff, so I did a lot of supersets, a lot of high reps for my legs last year for New York, and they were very separated, but they were also smaller.
Shrunk up a little, yeah.
And so this year I kept straight sets, you know, a lot of mind-muscle connection. I won't say really heavy weight, but just straight sets.
Heavy enough.
And,
yeah.
you know, up until the show. And that really, I think people overthink it again. You know, I did no stairs, you know, nothing that was going to really shrink down my legs.
Okay.
And so this year they held on to a lot more size training like that.
Yeah, they look pretty big from the pictures that we've all seen.
You know, everyone's going to have a different recipe for success here. So, I mean, my advice to anybody on the, you know, the up and up is experiment. Because it's the human body, you never really know what your niche is going to be, how your muscle, you know, is going to respond to different training. So
now as far as your mindset coming into the show, I know a lot of guys on every level, local, national, IFBB Pro. It seems like everybody's always got one or two mindsets. You know, one, I'm going to come in and do the best I can. Two, I don't care who. I probably could swear, but whatever. I don't care who shows up. I'm in it to win it. That's all there is. That's you know, just tunnel vision. I'm training to win. Now you're coming into a show, Flex Lewis, obviously the best 212 bodybuilder in the world. I think there's a lot of people that argue had he done the Olympia Open, he could have placed in the top 6 there as well. You know, when you know a guy like that is going to be here, does that affect your mindset and your prep at all, knowing that, hey, the guy that's on the top of the mountain is going to be there and he's going to be really tough to beat? I mean, is that even in the back of your head, or are you just, you know, like I said, that tunnel vision, knowing that you're just going to go in and you know, try to kill it?
I think, once again, I got to say that it is and it isn't, because I think that if you're going to be an IFBB Pro and you're going to commit yourself to doing a show like this, then there's a part of you that you obviously want to be the best.
Right.
Because I'm not going to lie, this beats the hell out of me. I mean, you know, there were times in this prep where, you know, it's hard. It's really hard mentally and physically. It's not. This is far beyond a hobby. You know, if I was doing this just for fun, I would have, you know, I wouldn't be here.
Stepped away a long time ago.
Hey, I mean, I'm definitely competitive, and hey, I mean, I'll be honest. I'll do whatever it takes to win. Now, realistically, you have to be a realist also, because, you know, I know that he's the champ. So. Especially, I mean, not just Flex Lewis, but you got Flex, you got Jose, you got David Henry, you got all these top guys. So I know, as me, as the rookie, that I got to really punish myself if I want anybody to look at me among those other guys who have already established their name. So if that means that I got to come in more shredded, more dry, or if I got to suffer a little more, then that's the game. I mean, a lot of times this comes down to who's willing to really just punish themselves. And
right.
so,
absolutely.
I mean, hey, I do this for myself, and I do this to beat my previous self, to prove to myself that I can win, that I can be good at this. But I would be lying if I told you that I don't want to beat these other guys and be number one.
Absolutely.
Come on, that's the competition.
That's competition, man. That's it right there. We'll tell you what, guys, we're going to wrap things up. Let Aaron get back to hanging out here with the fans at the meet and greet here at the Arnold, and you know, take it easy a little bit before the show tomorrow. Prejudging is tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So make sure you get online, musculardevelopment.com, for the forums, all the pictures. We're going to be bringing you all the coverage from the 212 prejudging. So again, this is David Baye with IFBB Pro Aaron Clark from musculardevelopment.com from the 2014 Arnold Sports Festival.